Hey everyone, welcome back to another weekly PlanetScale Changelog video. Let's dive into what shipped at PlanetScale this week. First up, Insights is back at it again. We've shipped 5 new columns for Insights for Postgres databases that show you exactly how your queries are using the shared buffer cache. We've added columns for block cache hit ratio, blocks hit, blocks read, blocks dirtied, and blocks written. Now, what the hell does this mean and why do I care? Great question. A block is a fundamental unit of data in Postgres. When a query accesses a table or an index, Postgres doesn't fetch individual rows. It loads the entire block containing those rows into something called the shared buffer cache. Now, the shared buffer cache temporarily stores frequently accessed blocks from your database. When a block is read from disk for the first time, it's stored in the shared buffer cache. If a query needs data from that same block later, Postgres can then serve it directly from memory instead of from disk. This is known as a cache hit. If the cache is full, less frequently used blocks are evicted to make more room for new ones. Now, when a query can serve most of its reads from the shared buffer cache, it avoids having to fetch data from disk, which is far slower. So every cache hit means faster query response times. And then on the other hand, if queries constantly miss the cache and have to read from disk, you'll see higher CPU, I/O utilization, and slower throughput. So tuning queries to improve cache hit ratio means frequently accessed rows and indexes can stay fast. Now back to those metrics we added. Each of these metrics are measured at the query level, so you can see this data for each query. Blocks hit is the number of data blocks your query found already in the shared buffer cache. So a higher number here is good. Blocks read is the number of blocks Postgres had to fetch from disk because they weren't already in the cache. Of course, lower is better. And block cache hit ratio is a percentage of blocks read from the shared buffer cache. Then we also have blocks dirtied, which is the number of cache blocks that were modified, but not necessarily flushed to disk during the query execution. And blocks written is the number of dirty blocks that were eventually flushed from the cache and written to disk. So tracking these block level stats gives you direct visibility into how efficiently your queries are using the buffer cache versus going to disk. And now it's surfaced right inside PlanetScale Insights, so you can quickly identify and improve how your queries use the shared buffer cache. Next up is a smaller but useful one. We have introduced a new output format flag on the pscale database dump command for Vitess databases. You can now dump data in 3 different formats: SQL, JSON, and CSV. And last up, we ship new replica connection graphs for Postgres databases. These graphs visualize connection usage across primary and replica instances. They can help you spot connection imbalances and spikes, see if replicas are underutilized, and identify when you're approaching connection limits on any instance. You can find these graphs by going to your metrics page, clicking the replica checkbox in the dropdown at the top, and expanding the connections graph. That's all for this week. I'll see you all next week. Bye.